I'm Alfonso Garcia. I'm the owner at Tri Physical Therapy and Wellness Center here in Midland, Texas. I grew up in Crane, Texas, small little town, not too far from here in Midland. School, I played pretty much all the sports, played football, played baseball, ran track, went to state a couple times in track, football, ran for about 1,500 yards, I think, my senior year. During sports, of course, you always have little injuries. You go to the training floor back in the day, they put a little ice on it, put a little E-stim, so you kind of had a little very basic idea of how the body heals, but that, of course, led to more curiosity and something I wanted to pursue down the road. When I was a senior in high school, we had to do a report for one of our classes. And by chance, there was actually a physical therapist in Crane. It was a good little chance to kind of get a more insight into the field. Definitely planted a seed for me as far as wanting to get a little more knowledge when I was taking my courses during college. I wasn't quite certain, but I knew I wanted to take some of the courses required for a pre-physical therapy program. And that kind of set the stage for me as far as getting all my coursework to be able to apply for physical therapy school. Decided to go more into the fellowship program. Fellowship is basically you can specialize in one particular discipline of physical therapy. So I entered a program called the MTI, Manual Therapy Institute, which you have to do about 400 hours under already a fellow of physical therapy. And once you pass that, you're considered a fellow of physical therapy. When I opened up my first office, I had a lot of clinical experience, but I had no business experience. Coming into this area, I was completely new. If you know Midland, Odessa, it's a very close-knit community. I didn't have a lot of networking with doctors, medical offices, so I was basically the brand new kid in town. I opened up the clinic and I thought, hey, I have my fellowship. I'll have all these clients coming in because I have fellowship. And that by far was not the case. So it took a while for me to start building up some clientele. When you first open those doors, man, you get all kinds of unexpected problems. You have issues with insurance, you have issues with finances. Early on, it's problem after problem after problem. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of times where I was like, man, this ain't working out. After about 3 years, I finally got to where I had a little bit more footing. Our executive director, who was Veronica Navarrete, came in, really filled a lot of the parts that I just personally didn't have the expertise or the time commitment to really hone in on those particular skills, right? Because I'm a physical therapist. Obviously, you're trying to learn the business part, but you're trying to wear so many hats. You can only wear so many hats at one time. So she definitely came in and provided that leadership as a director and really our human resource, because she was able to hire people, put people in the right place, and started off with 1 or 2 employees, and then we grew to 3 and then 4, and eventually we had pretty much a full team as we grew from our Odessa to our Midland offices. That's kind of how we built our business to where we are now. When you go to most PT clinics, you see the physical therapist your very first visit. They'll check a couple things, give you a couple, tell you what's going on, and they'll give you a little sheet of paper and pretty much just hand you off to maybe a physical therapy assistant, technician, right? And you might not see that physical therapist until your very last visit. And then they tell you, okay, hey, you're good, and we'll see you next time, right? You might not be better. You might be a little better, but it might not be to where your initial goals were set. For me, I felt that we needed a really individualized approach. So when somebody comes in and I sit down with them in the very first visit, my main goal is to really hear them out. So when we put our plan of care together, giving them exercise, certain mobility drills, and then the hands-on approach that we take, that client will see results a lot faster than I feel you see in other, physical therapy clinics. Once they feel better, and then they begin to tell their family, they tell their husband, their wife, their kids, their friends, their coworkers. I feel entrepreneurship is taking the skills you developed over the years, or the skills that you love to perform or do, and then putting them into a business. You can mold and create that as you wish, right? Sometimes there's always going to be external pressures or external problems that are going to going to force you to adapt and change over the years. But that's probably the biggest part of entrepreneurship, is being able to adapt, being able to mold yourself, being able to be flexible. And then before you know it, you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur. Starting off, the information I wish I had at the time was start small, right? I've definitely made the mistake of having a big clinic in the very get-go, and I didn't really need that at the time. The other thing I wish I would have known at the time is definitely have your systems in place. If I had those systems in place from the very get-go, you have every aspect of your business lined out in detail, replicating the process. The process is not easy, but the lessons you learn in growing your business are invaluable. They're gonna go with you wherever you go. You're gonna put those lessons into your daily life, and you're gonna put those into your plans going forward. Hopefully, over the years, your business grows and you can either replicate your business to another office, or you can put it into another type of business, but those lessons are always gonna be within you. And of course, over the years, you have staff who become very much like family for you. Yeah, for us, it's have clients who become an extension of who you are, because you know them personally, and you formulate kind of an extended family. And I think for me, over the years, that has really helped, because it puts, sometimes you live in your world, but sometimes it's hard sometimes to see the other problems other folks may be having. Part of my job is being able to listen to a lot of different individuals. And when I talk to somebody in their 70s, maybe 80s, those folks have a lot of life experience, and communicating with those individuals on a day-to-day basis, you gain knowledge by just communicating. And communication, no matter what job you are, is always going to be your most valuable tool, because with communication comes growth, and with growth comes the ability to better relate to others and hopefully have better relationships in your business, in your personal life, and hopefully down the road as you grow as an individual.